She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cock-a-crow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-quack. Cock-a-crow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck-a-quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now I come home. Inaga jackass yard for fetch the load. Hawkley shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side. A Rexy and Rover from the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight.
All right, hey, guess what? It's just a morning, a mid-morning, as we probably would want to call it, to talk about the happenings on the quarantine. As you know, the cane harvesters, they have been at it, poking the installed regime and insulting the installed regime, rightly so, because the cane harvesters, they want equal treatment across the board. And this come in light of this guy's announcement in Berbice, 250 grand for severed sugar workers. He basically rushed out to Berbice because he knows that they are in deep trouble. The PPP, that is, the installed regime, they're in deep, deep trouble. Their supporters are upset. The cane workers, cane cutters or cane harvesters, cane engineers, whatever you want to describe them as, they are upset because they know, most of them are aware that the PPP is using them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. All right, good morning. My name is Mark Benchap and welcome. We are going to be joined by a representative of the workers. He himself is a worker, a hard worker, a very committed worker, a dedicated young man out there in Berbice, someone that I knew very well when he was a little kid. And I'm not saying that he fashioned after me or whatever. His parents are his dad was a very, very hard worker as well. He worked at a sugar estate. Mr. Parks, he's now deceased. I knew his dad very well. They're committed, they're dedicated folks. His mother, cousin Mirelle, as we called her. And so her son, Hernie, he turned out to be a fighter, not a fighter for himself or a fighter for those in the village of Alnis, or a fighter who would just snap a couple of photographs, bark as though, those who pretend that they have loud barks. He's not one of those individuals. He's very, very dedicated. He is with me this morning. Mr. Hernie Park, good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, sir. Happy having me this morning. And once again, happy. I'm happy.
I'm so glad to have you here with us. And for our folks who are listening, I just want to thank you guys for sharing the link as well. Mr. Herney Parks is the one in this video, whilst we prepare to talk about the strike at Albion Estate. This is Mr. Herney Parks. This here is this gentleman this morning.
And good afternoon to all my Facebook friends. Today, I am doing this video for my fellow workers to understand that the government of today is not for the working class people. I am saying this simply because all of us are aware that our official from the government yesterday or a few days ago make some announcement, and one of the announcements is to give the severance people maybe $250,000. I have no problem with those giving the severance people money, but my problem is these workers already receive all their benefits, and most of them are working in different estates. End of the day, I have a problem with that. Recently, the agriculture minister says that in order for this industry to survive, we need $1.6 billion. And if this is true, how come this official can come and give out money just like that? This is a problem. Mind you, we at Albion, our estate were under flood condition. Tremendously, workers are suffering at Albion. We can't earn as we ought to. And so this is a problem right now. For the longest while, we do not have a wage increase. And we believe that this announcement, all sugar workers supposed to benefit off of this announcement. And rightly, I am demanding now my $250,000 because all of us deserve this money right now. Thank you very much.
You know, Mr. Park, Herney,
Yeah,
like your name, Herney. I've noticed people are your name, Herney, but we'll get into that maybe some other time.
Yeah.
As to why Mr. and Mrs. Parks, cousin Mildred, give you that name, Herney. Is that
right.
because I recall you as a different name? You know, small days we get false names and things for each other, but Herney, is it short for something?
No, it is it is my original name, Mark, and I don't know why cousin Mildred give me that name, because I tends to take a check on the name, and I find that few people maybe I'm the only person got a name Ernie. He had some video and some television actors and whatsoever. You see, the name is unique.
I get you. I get you, Herney. I get you, Herney. So a couple days ago, you made that video, and you were representing all of the sugar workers directly and indirectly by saying that any sort of payment should be given also to current sugar workers. After you made that statement, this is what happened today. Can you tell our listeners, because we didn't get a chance to go live, but this is what happened this morning. Describe this event here. And I can see that maybe that is your hand up in the air, your finger there.
Yes. Yes.
Explain what happened this morning, sir.
Mark, allow me firstly to say this. You know, our relationship started from since we were a small boy, and for our television, our viewers, this have nothing to do with what happened on the ground. Our relationship extends from a very much long way. What transpired this morning is frustrated sugar workers who believe that the vice president announcement, whilst it is favorable, it now extends to all workers. They are simply saying that once somebody have been paid their severance, that's it. Their service were taken care of 100% through the severance payment. And what really get the worker perturbed is that the vice president passed an estate that we willfully know that there is problems. One of the problems is that we were under flood condition for 65 days, Mark. And the vice president passed our estate, which is the largest producing factory in our country, and go straight up into Skellen. Mind you, for several times we will ask for meet with person that in authority. For example, several times we asked to see the subject minister. Everybody ignore us. They ignore us. So this morning, the workforce has me to a point that, listen, we fed up talking and it's time to action. And I want to tell you, Mark, that not only can Harvester involved in this strike, the factory, all the factory workers, you know, they came out in support. They have some, what you might have called the crops worker. There is those who maintaining the cane and whatever. Most of them came out. And this morning, the message was clear that in order for us to return to work is that you got to pay each worker the $250,000 and that's it, or we willing to enter in a negotiation whereby the subject minister are able to work our way forward.
You know, it is interesting, and we will be joined shortly by a member of parliament, Mr. Ricky Ramsarup, General Ramsarup, member of parliament. We're told that he is in studio with us. We want to get his reaction as well. But since you're there on the ground, you just said something that is interesting, Mr. Parks, that you guys have requested to meet with the subject minister, Mr. Zulfikar. He has refused. Mr. Jagdev visited the area and flew past Albion State, the biggest. How did you guys feel when that happened? That he went? Yeah, go ahead.
Just for the viewers, there was a meeting slated for the said day that the vice president came up at Albion, but he took the opportunity to call off that meeting and go straight to Skellen. I mean, think about it, Mark. We were suffering for a very much long time, as I mentioned earlier about the flood. Things is not as usual at Albion Estate. There are problems before this. Let me say, the $250,000. There are several problems. There are several hiccups with work, and so everybody were aware that Albion have a lot of problem. And so when he used the opportunity to pass present worker and go and visit ex-worker, it sends a message, brother. Everybody just wondering why you know what I mean, he should have done this. You know what I mean? We were expecting a visit at Albion.
And so on that day when he passed, I can just imagine how you guys felt, though, as workers, hardworking, the biggest estate that he deliberately passed there. Do you think that the subject minister, Mr. Zulfikar, is misleading the folks out in Georgetown in the office of the presidency?
I can't really say, Mark, but what I believe that if the subject minister did, as a first-hand, you know what I mean, experience with us, first-hand information, then he would have been at a better position to talk. Because this is he would have talked based on what comes out from the worker. But he never used the opportunity. And one of the things I want to mention, I want to believe he was a part of Gaou. He started his whole political career through Gaou. And so he should have known the struggle.
Mr. Herney, you're talking about Mr. Zulfikar, right?
Yes. He know the struggle, you know what I mean? He came from the struggle. And what I found strangely is that although these requests has been made through various person and whatsoever, our requests continue to be ignored. And I want to emphasize on this position, Mark, on this thing. Our estate was under 65 days flood. 65 days, Mark. And we believe there's the first place. I mean, minister supposed to come. The first place. Up to day like today, none minister never visit the workforce. None.
None, absolutely none. We'll get back to you, Mr. Herney Parks. We have, and you're saying none of the ministers of this regime visited
Visit the workforce at Albion.
workforce.
Yeah.
There is another question that I want to ask you, but I would wait on that. Let's bring in the Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Ramstroop. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning, Mark, and morning, Mr. Parks.
Good morning, MP.
Thank you for having me, Mark, and a very short notice.
That's okay, MP, and thank you for coming on at such a short notice, just like Mr. Parks did. But I saw you made a Facebook post concerning the strike there at Albion. What is your take? What is your position, and what's happening there with the workers, sir?
Well, you see, that is their right. I mean, you know, when those severed workers that we had there, they were paid. Some of them were paid over $2 million. Some were paid to 700,000. Depends on the time they were in the sugar estates. These guys are here. They are currently working and they're trying. And we have seen that many issues that arises. We at one stage they were robbing these harvesters the weight of the cane. So some of them are be taking on very low wages as expected. And they have a right, because it's you can't just go and look after one segment of the sugar workers. And I see you, these guys, and that is why I mentioned sometime back on a post on social media that when you're going to do governance, you have to learn to create the balance. The balance word is absent, because when you give to one, the other is going to be the 10 more looking at you. I'm talking here about not only the sugar workers, but the public servants. They got to be a combination of things. So you just can't go and throw money out and hand it money like that without realize the consequences to that. And that is what's troubling here in the governance of the sugar industry. I was just looking for a post reading Starbucks News where the vice president himself made several statements concerning the Skellon Sugar Factory, which we know can never come happening. There's people interested in the co-generation plant.
If I can just stop you for a moment, let's go to Perth Village. A big protest going on there as well. Let our listeners hear what's happening in Perth Village. One quick second.
Perth Village. We also had livestock that some of us lost livestock. For example, I lost over 100 chicken. My pen get flooded. And, you know, they're not attending to that.
What's the value of the 100 chickens that you lost?
Well, let's say the value of the 100 chicken, let's say, if you want to put about $1,000 a chicken, or let me say at least $900 a chicken.
We just thought that we bring that to your attention that Perth Village up in Myconi, people are protesting. Villagers are protesting. Lots of discrimination, skullduggery that's happening under this installed regime. It's unfair. But Mr. MP, let me allow you to make your point quickly before we get back to Mr. Parks. Go ahead, sir. Sorry about that.
Well, you know, those persons, again, look, there's another strike there at Parks Village. Those persons have the right to do what they're doing. That is your democratic right to ensure once things are not happening to your satisfaction. You have a right to protest, and sometimes in Guyana here, the only way you can get people attention is through protest. So my point, I went back to the Skellon Sugar Factory because, you know, you have to come out and be truthful. And this is what I'm not getting from the government. They know that the sugar estates them are and going to go through some crisis. That's why when we were in government, we were trying to right-size the sugar industry to ensure that it becomes profitable. But when you're going to say you're going to open this estate and that estate, and now you already pumped $14 billion in the sugar estate and can't even come to scratch a surface, that is why the Minister of Agriculture is going to hide from you guys. Right, Mr. Parks? And face the people.
I want to get back to Mr. Parks and Mr. The Honorable MP Ratshoop made a good point. Why do you suppose that the Minister of Agriculture is running and hiding from you guys, don't want to meet? Mr. Parks?
Look, Mark, the facts is out there. If you have an entity whereby 65%, I mean, is going towards wage bill, it is difficult to survive. And one of the things that I feel that the minister is running, let me take, for example, Kanji Estate that they're trying to reopen. Mark, this is information for the public to understand. Most of the managers them are ex-manager and some as the age of retirement. These are some of the people that they bring back into this industry. One of the time, Mark, they decide to advertise for workforce at Kanji area. And mind you, I am saying this here today with no apology. The age range of the workforce that they announce is 18 to 59. That tells you, that sends a message that the workforce is not there. You understand? So these are some of the things we want to address directly to the minister. You understand? The flood condition, Mark, the flood condition 65 days, these are some of the burning issues. I want to say this clearly. There are some things that what we just normally practice in the gangs, what you call baksan. You understand? Workers, that's what does encourage workers to go out there and do their best. Not one single person in the 5 gangs, no, not engaging in baksan, because you know what? You are only working to maintain your house. You understand? And these are some of the things that we want to address with the minister. For the longest while, people were talking about they would have given us a better wages and salary thing. Up to now, they're like today, we still waiting. And these are some of the burning issues. I know that they might have critics out there who would have, take the position to say, well, era Parky was on Mark Ben Scott's show. This is not nothing about Parky. This is about the situation on the ground. Parky's support, I was in the sugar industry since the age maybe when Dr. Teddy were in office. And I continue, no matter government go and government comes, I continue to give 100%. And I still will give 100%, you know what I mean, towards development. But then if you can't treat everybody fairly, how can you get the heart to side development? You got to treat everybody fairly. And these are some of the burning issues, Mark. When I say burning, every cane harvester understand clearly that the $250,000, it is giving back people money who doesn't deserve. Straight up.
You know, one of the things though, and Mr. Parks, is that when Jagdeo went to Berbice, it's to play politics and not to address the concerns of the people. When they passed Albion Estate, it is not because you came on straight up with Mark Benchop. It is not because of that. It is because they just don't care, right? How the sugar workers, before we get back to the Honorable MP, how the sugar workers feel about being disrespected, especially by Jagdeo and the PPP? Honestly, how do they feel?
Honestly, they are very much disappointed. Some of them, you know what I mean, they doesn't have even words to express themselves than through action. You know what I mean? We meet to that point that, listen, some of them were of the opinion that sugar might have been privatized because how the government approach, you know what I mean? No information, no communication. So they get the feeling like there is something behind the scene for sugar workers, you know what I mean, that will maybe cause their livelihood. And so these are some of the feelings of the worker. Unless these things has been addressed, you know what I mean, we cannot work with the freedom, you know what I mean, and give our best. These are some of the things that we got to explain to us.
Exactly. Let's get back to Mr. Ramsroop, the Honorable MP. But before we give him a minute, this is happening right now. Pert farmers ignored. Gaisuka workers get 250,000. And this is what the farmers, look, this is what they're saying right now as we speak. They're protesting in Perth Village. This photograph is compliments of the Village Voice News. So compliments to the Village Voice for this photograph. Mr. Ramsroop, back to you, sir.
You know, I'm really proud that our good friend Harney here spent a number of years in the sugar industry, and somehow the intelligence that you put out here, it tells me that what we were doing in the last 5 years to ensure that you guys understand the sugar and the industry. You spoke about privatization, that something is going to happen. That is all we already got that information. You understand me? And I'm very proud that you at the ground here pick up this information. And this is what we are trying to tell persons in Region 6, especially. You don't get brainwashed. You understand me? I mean, I understand they come and say we close sugar estate and this and so on, but we never close the sugar estate. We right-size the sugar industry to ensure they will become profitable. Now, they said they want to open it. So, you know, like Sophie stand up in Parliament and stamp his chest and say, you know what, we're going to open it. We're going to open it back. Let it go open it now. Now, the vice president sing a different tune, and this is what I want to get Mark, is that he wants the sugar workers now to go under the oil industry. Well, it can't happen like that. It cannot happen like that. I was on Bobby's television program weeks after weeks talking about encouraging them to get involved with the local content business, the children and so on. So that because we brought a sector on board, now they're going to say the same thing in a different manner. You just can't hire the sugar workers and put them inside the oil sector, oil and gas. What happened to the transition stage? So stop fooling the people and be frank with the people and tell them, look, sugar is a crisis. So
the good point, Mr. MP. Mr. Parks, the sugar workers are not dotish people. And sometimes a lot of people take sugar workers for granted. You guys are very intelligent. I know that for a fact, Mr. Parks. Are sugar workers of the view that this entire sugar industry will be privatized? It cannot maintain itself. And Mr. Jagdeo and the PPP are just fooling the workers?
Mark, whilst a large percentage of the workforce believe that something like privatization is there on the somewhere on the back burner. The thing about it, the message that especially what the subject minister is sending takes us down that line. For example, I want to make this point. I read an article where he said that in order for you to keep this sugar industry alive for the next 4 months, we need $1.6 billion.
Correct.
That tells a message, Mark. Whether we're going to continue in that way or not, you know what I mean? If you need 1.6 billion in the next four months, and mind you, Mark, consider the production. There was a budget, there were a particular numbers tell to the nation that we're going to achieve. That number, you are far away. That tells you a message that, listen, things is not regular in the sugar industry. It tells you a message. So I believe that, yes, they would pump in the 1.6 billion, but then maybe they might have squeezed the worker to recover some of the money to go back into the sugar industry. Squeeze the money in a sense, maybe wages and salary increase, maybe a little number in a terms of percentage, and every area that you can squeeze worker to recover that money. I believe that is the motive of the government.
Mr. Ramsarup?
Mark, I think our friend Horn here he hit the nail on the head there. This is not happening only now, where the sugar workers have been feeling the blunt of the squeeze for money that should be given to them to help to sustain the sugar industry. And let me point out one exactly. I went to Albion, Mr. Horney. I went to Albion, and I was talking to the fellas there. And when I was there, they went around telling people not to come to my meeting. But I was there, and people came out. We had about 15 people. That was good enough for me. If they had one, that would have been good enough for me, because I want to hear the views. I want to hear the issue. The same scale and weight thing. The guy told me there, Mark, that once he's there at the scale, the weight is going fine. 5 ton, 4 ton. As soon as he back to our allowed for 2-3 weeks, the weight got to 1 ton, 1.5 ton. Same amount of cane. One guy can cut maybe 1.5 open or 2 open of cane. You know this, Mr. Horney? And you know that when you a certain amount of cane that you fetch, you got a certain amount of weight. You don't have to tell. And when you put them in the pond, you will know if it's a 3/4 pond or a half pond. You know the amount of tonnage you expect. Correct?
Yes, but I wouldn't subscribe to that, you know, because what normally happens is that the representative normally involved in scale check. And what I really understand what the problem is that because of the flood, and you gotta take a little time to understand this, Mr. MP. Because of the flood situation, the stock of the cane would look green, but when they burn the cane, you understand, it is a totally different picture. So you might have cut the volume of cane, but in the terms of represent weight, you're not getting the amount of weight to represent the volume of cane that you work. So, for example, a cane harvester would know when he cut 300 bundle. On a normal circumstances, the 300 bundle will give you 2 tons. In this situation, you will cut the same 300 bundle and only get, let me say 1 or 1.5 tons. So, for me to subscribe that the scale might have robbed people, you know, it is hard for me to say that. You understand? But the real reality is in the field. What you take out from the field, that's the problem.
So Harry, I quite understand what you're saying in terms of flood. I quite do understand the flood, because flooding. Look, I've been in my career started in Gaisuku, and I was a foreman, and I was about to get promoted to supervisor in a planting yard. So nobody can beat me in sugar estate and stool and quality and variety and all these things, right? I know what I'm talking about. We're the one who planted that cane there from day one, and you guys going to harvest it. So I know what we planted. Whenever the fields are flooded, it's actually gonna kill those canes. It can't survive. That's period. Period. But I'm telling you, this is what if the representation of the guy who was telling me. You understand me? That is one of the complaints.
I wouldn't doubt you. I wouldn't doubt you.
But once he's at the scale, everything is okay. Everything is okay. But as soon as he turned and left for like 3-4 weeks, something wrong. The numbers are not adding up. Same thing they're doing all the time. So that's what I'm trying to say. But I do understand your argument, and I understand that many of these things can happen. Those are the technicality things in sugar that we need to understand. But unfortunately, the CEO now in Gaisuku doesn't understand the technicality that you and I are talking about. You understand what I'm saying here?
You know, I feel as though I understand the technicality, but I don't. All I remember is watching those hard-working cane harvesters. I be calling back on the quarantine, we used to call them cane cutters. Mr. Hurley, your dad was a cane cutter, cane harvester, hard-working, lots of people in the villages nearby and so forth. But there's a question that I want to ask you, Mr. Hurney. This protest this morning, what happens now? Where do you guys go from here?
Again, Mark, our action is well planned. I can be, you know, I didn't want to, I could have hide this, but because you asked, I would clearly say that, listen, we have a days in our mind that we are looking at, because it is well planned, it is well executed and whatsoever. What we provide is that we want to give the subject minister some time to reflect. If he can engage us.
1 second. It looks as though you guys have been giving him a heck of a lot of time. Y'all giving him more time. Continue. From since
they have changed the government, we asked him to see the subject minister. From since then, and up to now, we can't see him. So we have a number in our mind. But believe me, Mark, all representatives, they get a mind, you know, I mean, we were trained to negotiate. And although we have that mind, that plan number of days of striking, if the subject minister come now and say, hey, what happened? Come, brother, we want to talk to you. We want to hear your concern. We will call off that strike immediate, go and listen to the subject minister and recoup. Whether he say positive or whatsoever, if there is positive, then we got to make a decision. Clear cut.
When was the last time you guys saw the chief executive officer?
Mark, and I want to say this, the chief executive officer, he had meeting with us one time at Albion, and that maybe that was in the last year or so. And his first meeting, personally for me, he lacked the experience, He's learning on the job, and this is for me. You understand? He's learning on the job, and he depending upon people to provide those information that he can, you know what I mean, manage this company. That is for me.
All right, we got you straight, loud and clear. He's just not an expert. He doesn't have the experience, just
That's
basically a waste of time there. But I can't remember his name, Mr. Ram Sarup. Your take on what's happening. You heard that the relevant minister, Mr. Mustafa, has not visited the workers. He has refused to meet with them. He's playing political games. The acting CEO, the chief executive officer of Gaisuko, visited with them once. The cane harvesters are not dummies. They know exactly what's happening. They know that that guy is not experienced. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Help us with his name again, please.
That's the man, Sis Narai.
Please, the turnaround expert. Turnaround expert.
Yeah.
Your take,
well, he's a bit ship hopper, but you know, I have a question. Not a question, but suspicion that the flood on the Gaisuku estate. Do you think, Mr. Wari, that those flood was deliberate?
Look, I'm not good in speculate. I'm good of dealing with the facts. And so far, the amount of rain that we had, you know what I mean? For the longest while, we didn't have that rain. Apparently, there are areas where people might have lapsed, areas where they need to pay attention and they did not. But as I said, you know, the flood come and its end. It is put all of us to look back at some areas that we normally neglect. And so I believe that moving forward from the flood, if the little things we put in place, you know what I mean, it won't happen again. I just wanted to speculate that whether if it was people or whatever, but there are things what could have been done.
Well, let me tell you this: if we came to this country as indentured labor and specialized in drainage and irrigation, I'm talking about history here, and we got flood in this decade here, in this age, something wrong. You know what I'm telling you? Something wrong. In 5 years, we had the same heavy rainfall. We had inches of rainfall too. But they emphasized that agriculture minister then, Mr. Noel Holder, you have to understand, I throw the black and bread, we spent about $2.93 billion on resurrection of pump, cokers, dredging of cokers. That Abari region there, area, used to be dredged. Final 20 last year was dredged. So there are things that could have been done and are supposed to be done. But they knew exactly what they were doing, and that's why they claim over $4 billion lost through the flooding. You got to understand the narrative here. That is what I want to get from you. And I want you, sugar workers, to understand.
I get your point, Mr. MP. And because of the flood, I mean, you were able to give people money that doesn't deserve money. You understand? I understand the whole implication.
So I want you guys to understand the politics and this here. And I know you guys gonna, when we talk on these programs, and I'm thanks to Mark. Mark, I want to thank you very much for having me here too, because this is some current topical issue. To understand the governance, how they govern the sugar industry, and the political mechanism that they put in place to win the battle with the sugar workers. But then, as I said, you guys are getting smarter as well, because thanks to us, because we want to ensure that the internet and everybody get access to Facebook and social media, on the radio programs with Mark. Understand what's happening. Look, we don't want to baptize or brainwash you guys. We want you guys to understand the reality, and that reality check is what we're not. This current government is not going to be telling you guys. They're going to put you back in the situation, cause and effect. So when they got to create a problem there with the flood and whatever they're going to be doing, you'll see the God send man will come here. The God send man will come. Oh, we can give you all now $100,000.
Exactly.
You understand the political gimmicks here?
Exactly.
And this is what be happening.
The political gimmicks, Mr. Parks.
Yes.
Mr. Ramstroop, the Honorable MP, spoke about the political gimmicks and spoke about when the coalition, they were in office, what they did, and they understood what needed to be done. You worked through the coalition as well, and I didn't bring you on for a political statement, but I want you to give our listeners throughout Guyana and around the diaspora a feel of what it was like, what sugar workers, how they felt during the coalition compared to now.
Mark, I love to be honest.
Sure.
Look, when the coalition were in office, there was some criticism based upon wages and salary, you know what I mean, that the coalition did not, give us any sort of increase. But one of the great things that the coalition did, in fact, two of the great things that the coalition did for me, it is one, you add a direction, you add a sense of direction where you want to go, where you want to be. That's right side of the sugar industry. Two, they know that they wouldn't maybe, they're the point where they could have give you a wages and salary increase. But what they did is that the tax threshold, they raised the tax threshold. So end of the day, you benefit at each budget. And that's not all. What they did for years, man, for years, 23 years the PPP was there, they were cutting our money on total deduction. Total deduction. When the coalition came into office, all the compulsory savings, they put aside. And so when they deduct money, they deduct money upon whatsoever remains. So end of the day, you able to take home more. When the coalition were in office, actually about 7 to 8 weeks, workers take home their full package, no tax, because you had a tax adjustment. With this government, brother, there is nothing for the working class people so far. Nothing. We had a sense of direction that downsize, yes. You understand? But there is no direction right now. We don't know where we are, where we are there from our feet. That's the difference. That's the difference, Mark.
That's a big difference, a huge difference.
Exactly.
Mr. MP, that is the difference. We are seeing it. That is why I didn't want it to come directly from you, Mr. MP, with all due respect. I wanted it to come from Mr. Ernie Parks himself, who is a straight shooter, a straight up individual. Kudos to the coalition for that, for respecting the sugar workers. You want to add something, Mr. Ramsrud?
Yeah, I actually am very, very much proud again for Mr. Horney as a person being there who understand what was happening. I mean, look, you guys, you know what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is to have group meetings and talk about this same thing here, what was happening, so you can see the difference. To identify the difference, Mr. Horney, I'm very proud, very proud. There's nothing more I can add to what you're saying here, other than saying that in addition to right-sizing the sugar industry, we were trying to diversify, and that is why the companies like DDL invested over $200 million in expansion of the juice factory. You understand? We are the aquaponics. They are those are the areas that we try to get people to understand that we need to go to, because I tell you what, the demand for food, and if you want to bring back Guyana to the next breadbasket here, you have to be doing all this here, the diversification. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna have a huge demand here. The oil gonna be here for another 40, 50 years. We don't know, because we keep finding oil all the time. So we have to keep gearing ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, ensure that they have the right amount of training, try to understand what's happening in the economy and in the country here. And that is the direction we got to move. So you guys, I want to tell you this here, that you guys have the right to protest what you're doing there. What you're doing is here, right? It's for your right, because you deserve to be treated equally, and you have to get equitable distribution of the resources of Guyana. That is what my point here.
Absolutely correct. I feel the passion in the Honorable MP's voice. He himself come through Gaisuko, albeit he didn't do what you and thousands of others are doing, cutting the cane. That is where the strength lies, and that's why I salute folks like you, Mr. Hurley. But on the ground there at the protest, on the ground, I know PPP representatives shy away. They don't want to be there. They just want to step in, and they are going to step in just now to play the politics. But I want to see more of our, or more of the coalition representatives. I want to see them with boots on the ground, also there with the sugar workers, listening to their concerns as well. Go there with them on the ground. Would you agree with me, Mr. Parks?
I fully agree with you, Mark. I mean, the one time we had a visit, but in our community, not necessarily the cries of the sugar workers, but we had a visit by Coretta McDonald in our community. But I'm supporting the same view that maybe the coalition give up in a sense that they believe that the sugar workers attached maybe to the government, and so they didn't want to try anything. You know what I mean? I am saying this clearly. The information that maybe sugar workers having, it is very much important for the coalition. Maybe this information can help us, help them to help us to get a better wages and salary for the workers. This information is very much important for the development of the country. I am saying this because, listen, I'm a part of the executive committee of the union. I'm a general council member. And I say this mainly because I'm frank on your show. I am frank there too. You know what I mean? I'm frank, I'm open, I'm frank there too. So the point what I want to make, if you are a frank speaker, you might have get people that love you and people want to love you. But end of the day, you are on course for letting the right things happen, for people to do the right things. So I'm critical of, yes, at this point of time with the coalition, they should have been on the ground, whether people support you or not. They should have been on the ground, especially with the sugar workers. You know what I mean? At this particular time. I might have criticized the government for knowing that there's a flood situation at Albion and the vice president passed. But again, on the same hand, none of the coalition, maybe MP, they did not visit us too. So equally, I hold everybody guilty. You understand? They are not visiting us. Maybe they tell themselves that there's little support or none at the sugar, but the information that will help you. I am critical of them.
Mr. Parks, thank you so much. I know Mr. MP, the Honorable MP, wants to get a bite at that. Let me say this without calling any names. And I was utterly surprised that Mr. Parks, I was told through a good source that opposition MPs were supposed to have been out there over 2-3 weeks ago before Bara Jagdev visited the region.
So true.
And those MPs just didn't make it at all. If that particular MP is listening, I know he's probably listening. He knows who we're talking about. He should have been there. Parks, I'm going to talk country talk. I'm not call name now. Right?
Yes.
Honorable
MP. So I know I respect your view, Mr. Horney, on this one here, but I want you to understand my perspective here and our perspective, what we're doing. So I told you I went to Albion, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And they went around telling the people not to turn up to my meeting. Camarade, we were supposed to go another week prior to that because Camarade was overseas. Right? And so we are going to go back because the guys are calling for us to go. But I want to open this to you that whenever you guys have concern, you're free to call me or call anybody to come to do a visit. What we've done and what we have allowed, we allow the sugar workers to express the independency. You understand where the power coming from? I want you to understand what I'm saying here. Right? We don't want to politicize it. We said we were so proud of you guys, again, I'm saying the word, that allow you guys to express your view. That is your right. If you guys want us to come and listen and think and so on, we don't want to infringe there and then put more pressure on you guys, if you understand. Because the PPP is quick to say that we want to politicize it. We want to divide the sugar workers. Look, I've been there and I know that you can't distinguish between Indian and blacks. We share food in the morning, bro. I tell you this. I used to give them my food. They used to give me my food. Whatever they cook, I used to share food. And I was a foreman there. You understand me? So we want the independency that you guys are coming out to express, and several groups, the teachers were doing the same thing. We will allow the teachers to go and express themselves because that is your democratic right. However, if you guys have the group and you call us and say, look, we wanted to meet with the opposition, and that's a different story. You understand? So not every little thing that happened, we're going to jump and meet with you guys because they don't want to say we politicize it. We plan it. You know, they love to put their propaganda that Ricky Ramsey go and plan it, tell the sugar workers to go and strike. You understand where I'm coming from? So
I understand where you're coming from,
right. So you have to be cognizant of that view that we don't get labeled that we're telling you guys to go protest.
No, but Mr. Ramsroop,
you understand?
who cares if the PPP label y'all? Who cares?
That's it.
The PPP does it all the time. It's politics, Mr. Parks.
Yeah, you gotta be proactive.
I mean, understand that. I understand that.
I wouldn't subscribe. Whilst I understand what MP is saying, I wouldn't subscribe to that because, I mean, this is a world where you got to be proactive, and unless you're being in a proactive mood, I mean, information will deviate you. Information will divert from you because, I mean, you got to be able to see things that happen. Create an environment where you are where you become comfortable. You understand? Let people see your presence. So at the end of the day, you can just stand and people come and relate to you. You understand? And for sit back and wait for when something happens.
I agree with you.
And to think. That is my thing. That is my concern. And so
I agree with that view. I agree with that view.
I am saying there were enough things happen at Albion, whether for the government or the opposition to act upon. You understand? Come and show their interest. There are enough things.
I got you.
So I was on the location there, a place called
MP. We got you, Mr. Parks. Loud and clear, proactive. Now wait for something happen. Don't, Mr. MP, with all due respect, don't just wait for phone calls. Stop.
I agree.
Exactly.
I do such and such. It goes a long way. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. MP. Anything else?
Yeah, so I agree with Mr. Hardy there.
Should we talk?
You know, the guys at so that I was telling you, the guys at Guava Bush area in Albion there, you know, they had the issues and they call us to have a meeting and so on. But I quite agree with you that you have to be proactive in these issues and so on and show that. So whether something happened or not, it is our view. It's supposed to be our task to ensure that you guys are okay. So if you guys are okay, that is fine. You understand? So I fully agree with that and endorse that also. And I will call to the other MPs them to be very active in those areas. You know.
So having said that, this strike in Albion this morning, the sugar workers are basically saying that the coalition MPs should have already had boots on the ground, visited the area. They have counselors, and that is what Mr. Parks is saying. You guys have plans on heading up there anytime soon, Mr. Honorable MP?
Yeah, definitely. I just saw the news. So I'll be talking to the other colleagues there, and we are going to go and listen to the concern that is there. And I'm happy, Mr. Parks, you can Mark, you can share his number to me, and then we get connected. So
Mr. Parks is well known. Everybody on the quarantine knows Mr. Parks. He stands
myself and the vice president share a good relationship. He know me from ever, from since ever.
From since ever.
And it doesn't mean that I got to agree with things that he do. I have my position. This is it.
But Mr. Parks, as soon as we come off this phone, expect a phone call from your friend.
Yeah, we are good.
He will call and he will give an excuse and he can say that he's coming down, because guess what he's going to do? He's going to rush down there or send somebody there faster than the MPs. If I were the MPs, I would have done jump in a minibus or a taxi and reach down there.
Let me say this,
Mark, that's what happened to me the last time. That's what happened. They somehow didn't know that before I reached it. There was no idea that I was going there. So the same people who are organizing meeting, information is coming out and gone to the people.
Well,
let me say this, Mark.
Sure, sir.
There were when the vice president were the president of the Cooperative Republic of Ghana, and that was in 2007. He wasn't slated. They had a cabinet outreach. He wasn't slated to visit our community, a village like ours. He wasn't slated, but residents believed that he should have stopped. And I and with other residents organized a large sum of people, and we stopped the then president, Barjagdio. And let me tell you, in the space of 5 minutes, there were thousands of people. And from since then, he always believed that when he have this cabinet outreach or whatever, this area is a permanent stop. And he would call me and say, by organizing a come there. But I said this again. It doesn't mean that me and him got to see eye to eye. I have my view. I have my life. I have my family to maintain. I want to be up there. I want to live a comfortable life. If his policy doesn't provide for me to live comfortable, then I have a right to say what I want to say.
Absolutely, you do have that right, but they are disrespecting people right now.
Exactly, exactly.
We're looking at the time, Mr. Ransrup. Any other thing you need to add?
No, I just wanted to say finally, Mark, that thank you for having me on the program and in the company of Mr. Horney here, who have been in the industry for many years, for decades,
over 30 years,
and that it's an industry that I know well, and would have really liked to see that it's moving a direction. I know that people are this generation now, don't want to go into that hard field of work, but at some time or later down in the future, we'll have to look at ways of to change our to diversify the sector, and we will have to. I will encourage you guys to stand up for your right that you're doing presently, and we are there with you, whether we're there or not. We are listening to your issue. We see what's going. We're going to take this to Parliament because budget is going to come up very shortly, and we're going to put some questions. You know that.
Yeah, the tax threshold raise, man.
Right. So, well, this is a part of the enforcement budget was a part of recovery. Up to now, I can't say recovery. The biggest budget ever. I know where the money is going. Because if you have the biggest budget, the money should come to the people, and if the people are striking for money, something is wrong. Right? Those basic analysis there you can do for yourself, and you can know exactly what's happening. We know the corruption is not being stopped. All this cash grant, every single thing is corruption until they had to be calling investigation within the cash grant. It's not equally distributed. We just saw the person who called in from those farmers in the villages, Port Village. Yeah, they call in to ask for, and I know we're calling the agriculture minister go out, because I recall when the prime minister was delivering that budget speech about $10 billion we approved because the money was coming towards those flooded affected victims. So we said, what, that would be good. So we asked him what mechanism he have in place, because since we unearthed corruption in the COVID-19 cash grant, we asked him what mechanism in place he's putting towards that that flood relief distribution to ensure that there's no corruption. But our words and our thing went on deaf ears, because now they have to go investigate back to find out exactly what happens with the corruption of those persons. People didn't have gardens and were receiving money. You got to ensure that if I'm eating and my neighbor is not eating, who's supposed to eat, you're going to talk. This is a unity we're talking about here. You understand? So I wanted to support and I wanted to commend you guys for standing up for your right. Don't believe that we're not watching and we're not listening. We are looking at every move that's happening, every single one.
You heard that, Mr. Parks, right? Don't feel that them MPs in watching, watching and they're seeing and they're hearing everything.
We're taking note of it.
They're taking note of it, Mr. Parks.
Yes, yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Parks?
Mark, once again, let me thank you for providing this platform that I can relate to my workers and, some of the concern. And also your platform give me the opportunity that people who play maybe a blind eye and a deaf ears, that they can hear clearly. And I want to make this clear. After today, I know that my life might have changed a little, but I'm prepared for all of this. Struggle come through hard sacrifice, and I'm willing to make some sacrifice to get things right. You understand? So I'm prepared. There are gonna be a lot of maybe difficult times ahead of me, but I'm prepared to address each one of those difficult times. Again, thank you for providing this platform, and I hope that many sugar workers tune in and understand clearly that this struggle is not about Orny. It is about a bread and butter issue, $250,000, and we must have it too. Discrimination, none. We wouldn't accept discrimination. That's it, Mark.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we're trying to join up with the folks out in Perth Village. I want to, sorry about that. We're trying to talk with our folks on the ground there because sorry about that. As I give the Honorable MP your closing remarks, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and I will be happy again to be in the company of Mr. Harney here, and continue to do your program. That you're doing. You got to keep fighting, and I'm very sad. I feel very sad that that Mr. Harney mentioned something that he's prepared to face what's next to come to him, which should not happen, because you have all democratic rights to express your view. You should not be penalized or victimized or politically victimized. So you understand where I was coming from when I said allow you guys to do things now.
Yeah.
Because of the same reason, we don't want to be a care for you. We don't want to be politicized because we know how vindictive the current government can be. And if that happens, then we're gonna take the fight. We're gonna take the fight. You don't worry, we're right beside you. And I wanted to commend those sugar workers who stand up for their rights, and want to tell them that continue to do what you're doing until you got justice.
Yes. Thanks.
Everybody should be treated equally. We have enough resources. We have we have millions of dollars that's coming into the country. It should be spent wisely to everybody, and that is what I want to tell our viewers. Thank you very much, Mark.
Mr. MP, I want to take this time out to thank you. Such a short notice. I called you. You were willing. You came on. Thanks a lot for reminding the folks what happened under the coalition for those sugar workers, those hard sugar workers. We all know that you guys meant well. We all know that you guys did way better. This is my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people share this too. Way better than what the PPP ever did in the 23 years they've been in office for sugar workers. My opinion again. I don't know. I've never asked a sugar worker how they felt about that $200 million wasted on the the Skeldon estate. Mr. Parks is shaking his head. Since he's shaking his head, I know Alnis people. I grew up in Alnis, and once Abhi shake Abhi head, it means we have something to say. Mr. Parks, your take on that Skeldon $200 million?
It is a totally embarrassment. In fact, there were a lot of advice given to the government not to build that structure, that white elephant. And they were so strong-headed that they go and they build it, and that's the results. Mark, I don't know if you have many more time, but I get an important point that I want to make.
One second before you make that point. Honorable MP, do you have to go, or you want to hear Mr. Parks' point?
No, I'm certainly like to hear his point.
Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours, Mr. Parks.
I want the viewers to understand that since that estate exists at Skeldon, most of that estate workforce were coming down way down from the quarantine, from maybe from number one going up. There's where the workforce lie. And if you are aware of all this information, knowing that you are building a big estate and the workforce is not there, you know our land type condition, that our land type wouldn't facilitate maybe large maybe mechanical harvesting because of our soil type. It is a recipe that's bound to fail. It is a recipe that's bound to fail. And so all this information were given to the present government then, and they still build that white elephant. It is a shame. It is a totally embarrassment. And I want to tell you, there is a lot of people, maybe over 100 and something people, employed right now at Skelden. And what those people mainly do is to chop bush in the compound. You know what I mean? This is taxpayers' money wasting, my brother. You can't get people to do just chop bush and tell people about your reopening sugar estate. A lot of money. It only bogus to get a proper wages and salary because you base have to widen. I mean, you cost the production have to widen. And these are some of the challenges we have, the question we have for the minister, and we can't see him.
The minister is hiding, Mr.
Definitely. Definitely.
He still live at Bloomfield.
I can't say Mark, but one of the things that I know.
I'm not saying to go by his house. Just slow down and honk your horn. Let him know that you guys are looking for him.
Well, apparently, based upon what goes on, once you become a minister, you got to go to the capital city. You know what I mean? And so I believe that he is somewhere permanently in the capital city.
Oh, so you got a tongue.
Yeah.
So you got a tongue.
Yeah,
you got a
obviously.
tongue. We've noticed the MP stepped off the screen for a quick minute. For a quick minute, let me like with these people, let me take a call. Explain the mood. Explain that mood.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, are you there, Mr. Parks?
Yeah, I'm here, but I couldn't see anything, Mark.
Yeah, explain what was the mood like of the sugar workers this morning protesting there? What was the mood like?
The mood is about they have the energy to sustain because they are certain sure that the 250 must give them to them. So they are prepared to go through the long struggle. They meet to a point, although you are the leader of the gang, they meet to a point that they are saying that they determine their own destiny. And so some of them explain that they wouldn't turn out back until we get an answer and whatsoever. The mood is not nice. The mood is not nice. And so I am saying anybody that's listening right now, because of the importance of the industry, especially Albion Estate, they shouldn't ignore us. They should have intervened immediately. They should have intervened immediately and help this situation to come to a calm. You know what I mean? They should have intervened immediately.
They should have done that. Any quick 30 seconds before we go, because we have the protesters at Perth Village are now waiting to come on next. Honorable MP, any 30 seconds, 1 minute before you go? Anything else you wish to add?
I mean, it's good that they have the spirit very high because we wanted the sugar industry and the sugar workers to be independent. And once you be independent, you can show the strength and you have the courage to go forward. That is what you have to be doing, and every single one of them should think independent. And you talk about the sugar, the Skelden Sugar Factory, but about telephone, we know that from long. That was just an opportunity to squandered money, So that is why it's reasons that it is there what it is. So Mark, thank you very much for having me. And anything, you're free to call me anytime to discuss any issues and any matters and have my opinion, my thoughts or knowledge about it. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. MP. Thank you so much, Mr. Parks, future MP from Alnis Village. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, comrades.
Bye.
Yeah. All right, so we're trying to connect with the people in Perth Village right now. We are waiting to connect to them. We want to hear what is happening in Perth Village with that protest They're out there. They are upset that they're not getting. They're being discriminated against. And look at the folks out there. Look at what is happening out there. That they have to protest. They have to put tires on the road. You know, this is exactly what is happening. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. What's going on in Perth Village? Exactly. Talk about this protest. Yeah, can you hear me? If you can hear me, we're giving you guys an opportunity to tell.
Oh, we gotta hear.
Yeah, what is happening?
Yeah, we're hearing you now. We're hearing.
Good. Thank you, gentlemen. What is this protest about in Perth Village?
Yeah, we.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
They get a piece in your speaker. They get phone earpiece. Hold it, let me get one. Yeah, we're hearing you, but a little bit low. Sorry about that.
All right. What is the protest about? Go ahead. You guys talk up. You guys talk.
Sorry. There we say. What was your question?
Tell us, what is the protest about, please? Go ahead. You guys talk. Tell us, what is the protest about in Perth Village?
So basically, the protest is about rice farmer not being receiving the flood relief grant as yet, and the new crop is coming up. We're entering into the new rice crop. Everybody's preparing the land to get back into the crops, and this new crop is coming here. So up to now, we have no word from the Ministry of Agriculture or with the GRDB. We went into them, we put our name locally, and there's no response to many farmers in my Coney area. So we were protesting to come to the point to hear if the president could get a word, because to go in, everyone to go to the office, it's very crowded. So we asked these news crews to come over and visit us, get a little word with us to understand what some of the farmers are facing. And it's very delicate at this moment because we're not sure if we're gonna get any relief and if we'll be able to go back in this crop. Last crop was a tight, and then this crop we don't know. A lot of farmers out there complaining that they have payments and tractors and equipment, and a lot of farmers take credit from the millers, like in terms of fertilizer and fuel and maybe money or parts. So we cannot fulfill that requirement yet to pay back the millers. Now, when you take these loans, the way how the system works is that when you take your paddy for the crop, they will deduct the money. So if there's no paddy coming out, I don't know if we will be able to get any more loan from them or any more fuel or fertilizer, because there's a big debt. So any politician or anyone, if we'll be able to get any money at this point, or we're stuck or we're being neglected, we just want to know where we stand, because it's very stressful. I don't know, some people are getting very frustrated. We have to sell stuff just to survive, you know, just to keep the house going. So this is the future. I mean, I don't know. I mean, everyone know that my Coney area, Micah and my Coney area is about farming, all right? And if we're not being helped, us to be killing that industry, right? Industry. So that's why we came out. We had a peaceful get together I wouldn't say it was a protest, but it looked like that because of the placards there. But it's just that why is those videoing, they will see what's going on. The media and the people who's viewing, they will understand what's going on. All right. So there's many other farmers wanted to come out and view their point as well, but at the same time, the early morning, a lot of farmers went to the tent with whatever cattle are remaining, and a lot of people seeking job out of town at the moment. So we didn't get the numbers of farmers, but there's many other farmers having this problem. I'm thinking right now for the amount of people that I reach in the area, they're discussing with me. I'm feeling that there's over about 60% or more farmer didn't receive nothing, you know. And you go inside with my situation. I went locally when the minister them came into my Tony Dundee. I put my name on a list, and then I also GRDB. I spoke to someone there, and they took my name and my information. They said they would look into it. After some time, I'm not getting any response. So I went into Ministry of Agriculture. And I spoke to them, and here when I asked them that I call into GRDB, I left my information. They said they have no information about me. They don't even know if I'm a rice farmer, whatever. I have documents to show that I'm a rice farmer and everything. You know, so that's my worry and concern. Many other people worry and concern as well. My friend Kidana is here. He will view as well.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kidana. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead. Yep. What's your concern about the discrimination? And
my name is Kidano Ali. I'm a young farmer in my Coney region, especially the Port Village region. We was just voicing our concern about we plant rice and we lost our crop due to the heavy rainfall and flooded land over this crop. So they send some people to verify our rice field to see if we lost crop or not, and they come and they verify. But yeah, what you say?
No. I'm listening to you. I'm listening. You're talking your story, and folks from around Guyana and the world are listening to you. Talk your story. Go ahead, sir.
Well, discrimination, I could see like the discrimination is kind of a little tense because most of the farm up in the farther region where you will call the Road and Creek region, they already get their money. And this region where most, you would say, Afro-Guyanese, they didn't receive anything yet. So I will see it.
Sorry about that. We lost those guys. They're all the way in Perth Village. As you know, we just we came on for a few minutes to talk about the sugar workers in Berbice. They were on strike this morning. They're still on strike. They are awaiting some word from these folks in the regime to talk about a resolution. You heard earlier from Mr. Ernie Parks, along with the opposition, the APNU AFC Member of Parliament, the Honorable Ramsarup, with us, Ricky Ramsarup. And now we are all the way in Perth Village. The folks at Perth Village now, they're not protesting. They're just having a peaceful get-together. I kind of like that description, a peaceful get-together with a nice big tire on the road and the placards. Mind you, it is not protesting. I heard you, Mr. Kirk Henderson. It is not protesting. It is a peaceful get-together. The folks are having a peaceful get-together. Okay? So, a peaceful get-together. Seems to be lots and lots of peaceful get-together all across the country. People are upset, and so they are having these peaceful get-together. I hope the people in the Essequibo can have a peaceful get-together also. The people in Linden can have a peaceful get-together. What about the people out in Kwakwani and Ituni that have not received their cash grants? What about the people in those areas that are still awaiting for the COVID-19 grant? Whatever it is, their cash grant, they still have their pink slips. Thousands of people still have their pink slips. I hope they can have a peaceful get-together as well. Very peaceful get-together. Let us not just make this that we see one race. There are a bunch of people out there who are protesting. Quickly, we can get your comment right here. I think, are we talking to Mr. Haley now?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. What's the protest about? What's the peaceful get-together about in Perth Village, sir?
Well, because we're a rice farmer and we think we were being neglected because we had a flood in the region a couple months ago, and the agriculture minister come to our region, Maikoni, and keep like several meetings and collect names to reimburse because of the flood. Because the president make a speech and say he would reimburse us some money, but they came, they check our rice field, they put down names, they check, they verify, and then now there's no one coming to us, and we calling, and now we hearing that they don't think we had flood. But we take our own tractor to pump out the water from the canal into the river. The government show we to use our tractor to do this, and they would reimburse me. We use our own diesel fuel, and they would reimburse me, and nothing didn't happen until now. Now we are young rice farmer. We need to go back into this is a crop starting this month. We need to go back into the crop. We don't have any money to finance our business right now because of owing for these tractors. Some of us owe for tractor. Some of us owe for seed paddy. We owe for fertilizer, diesel from the mill. Now the little paddy that come, the one like you will plant and some will come and some wouldn't come. The little that come when you take it to the mill gonna take out what you owe them. So you have no money remaining now to bring home to family. So what we did, we check in with, we call GRDB. We talked to the what board was it? The desk, inquiry desk. She take our information, and there is no reply, no response, none at all from no one.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, sir. How do you guys feel? I see a placard that says Gaisuka workers get 250,000 with a question mark. What about the farmers?
We feel real bad. Well, real bad. Well, that was the guy. The person feel like he was neglected because I don't know. Some sector getting, and the rice sector ain't really getting nothing. And this is the first time in a long time we actually getting some money from the government for rice farmer, because rice farmer always actually don't get nothing. But where the money going to and who it going to? And it's most of the people who the money going to, it's people who don't even plant or didn't even last rice.
If and I'm sure that maybe someone for the regime, they're listening. Maybe the agriculture minister, maybe, who knows? What is your message right now to those who are in government right now? What is your message to them?
My message to those who are in government right now, especially the agriculture minister, I would like you to come back in Maikoni, especially Port Village Maikoni, and just keep a meeting with us and let me know all the people them who really last rice. And if you could send a team to do the verification more properly. They already verified, but only if they could do it in a speedy way that we could get money to plant back our crop. No one ain't looking to get no free money or nothing, but they could come and verify. They could even go to the mills them and verify names, who planting and who not planting. But there are a lot of young black farmers in this community. And as we would say on the meeting, that most name you might see two last name, surname or three surname looking like something scampish, but no, you come and verify, because sometimes we get a 20-acre land and sometimes two family planting, that somebody planting a 10-acre block and somebody planting the next 10-acre block. Sorry. So a lot of farmers put their name and their name was just kicked off of the list. So we like the agriculture minister to send a team or come back himself and to know who we stand, especially the people them who don't have no voice, especially the people them, the rice farmers them who shame and who shy to go and put down name and these things.
Fair. When it comes to getting compensation for what belongs to you, others who don't deserve compensation, they are getting millions, they are getting hundreds of thousands. I have no doubt that you guys deserve whatever compensation you should be getting. And it's sad that the agriculture minister has discriminated, went into one area because of a particular maybe situation, ethnic group, and just ignore this other area. That is not how you run a country. What about your opposition MPs and so forth? Are they on the ground talking with you guys, assisting you guys?
Well, from this went live today, the MP called and tell someone that he would like to come and see us because he didn't know this was going on, and he will be here in the next hour or two to come and see us. Is that Region 5 MP? Yeah, can you remember his name?
Yeah, Mr. Vince Roy. Vince Roy.
Mr. Vince Roy.
So he will be there in another hour or two.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anything else before we go? But I want you to know that thousands of people are with you guys. I support this peaceful get-together or protest. But as the gentleman said, it's a peaceful get-together, right? I support this peaceful get-together 100%. Feel free to call me anytime, and I will respond to you guys immediately. Not an hour, 2 hours, but immediately.
We just want to say thanks to the president to looking out for the rice farmer them. But we want the lower people them in the ranks work and do their work good.
All right. Good. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you all. All right. You heard there. You heard what's happening. The discrimination. You name it. All these things are happening. And the people are upset about it. Discrimination, cash grant, flood cash grant, COVID cash grant, you name it. Every single thing, cash grants, problems upon problems upon problems in that country. Why should people have to go through these sort of things? Why should people sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Why should people have to go through these sort of things? The sugar workers, Barajak there drove past Albion estate, the biggest estate, and the people with the most problems, legitimate problems. He bypassed them, went all the way to Skeldon to fool the workers them there. The workers thought that they were getting their monies right there and then. It turned out that they weren't. And so the workers were upset. They bypassed Albion Estate. Now the workers are out there. What you're seeing here right now, that is Perth Village. That's Perth Village. I went to Perth Village maybe once or twice. Beautiful, lovely village. Lots of history in that village. But putting aside, you could understand why regime bypass those folks there right now. Read between the lines. You can understand, right? I understand also those farmers. They don't want to come across as though they want their compensation, mind you. And so they're going to say thank you to everybody and anybody who can ensure that they get their compensation, right? But look at these sugar workers out there this morning in Albion. Every single way, all over, the people are protesting. They want their what belongs to them. They do not want to be dictated. Unfortunately, the PPP only knows to govern through discrimination and all sort of vindictiveness. PPP is being vindictive toward these sugar workers, all of those sugar workers. And those sugar workers who are listening, right now, I just want you guys to know that we are with you. We are with all of you. Continue to strike until betterment comes. Continue to strike. You get the support. You have the support of many, many folks. Continue the strike. Continue the peaceful get together. It is working, and those peaceful get together will move mountains. There's one other person that I wanted to invite to be on with us this morning. And we're not getting on to that individual. Hopefully, we'll able to get on to this person before we go. Hopefully. All right. Whenever you have listened to these guys, you have listened to the sugar workers, you have listened to the rice farmers in Perth Village, and they seem to have this one drum beat, which is boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. They want real boots on the ground. They don't want soca or calypso. The operator, Lemon, was singing a song, something about boots on the ground, them in back in down. Well, you have heard from these people. They want boots on the ground. Forget about the soca. Forget about those sort of soca, calypso, or whatever, but boots on the ground and back in down. The people want boots on the ground. Real boots on the ground. That is what they want. Boots on the ground. If you want to make soca or calypso about boots on the ground, yalin back in down, enter the Mashramani competition coming up for Mashramani in February. Enter it. Become a calypsonian and sing boots on the ground, we in back in down. If you want, that we in lying down, we in whatever it is. You guys got it. I'm not a singer. I'm not going to get involved in that. But representation of the people comes from real true representation on the ground. Mr. Herney Park said, be proactive. What is wrong with being proactive? Don't sit and wait and say how or think how the PPP will feel and what the PPP would say. To hell with the PPP. Who gives a damn what they say? Go out there. Go into the villages. Take off your gloves. Take off your nice shoes. Take off your nice dress. Take off your tie. Go on the ground. That is where it happens, and this pattern it seems to be the same all over. Go on the ground. Be proactive. Don't wait for people to call you to talk about a problem. Of course, there are some times when that may happen, but visit the people on the ground, and you will hear about the problems. Do those sort of things. I don't know. I honestly don't know what is happening. But when you talk, some people get vexed. Well, they probably going to have to. Let's go. We have the Honorable MP for Region 5 on the phone. Honorable MP, good morning. The people at Perth Village said that you gave them a call. What's happening? You're live on the air, mind you, on 107.1. What's happening in Perth Village, dear sir? Your area.
Well, what is happening at Port at the moment, Mark, is that the farmers, which is at Campbell Port area, they're protesting what we call discrimination or the discriminatory way in which the flood relief cash grant was given out. And what actually happened there is that farmers who would have planted hundreds of acres of land, they received $50,000 and $100,000, which is for cash crop, in a kitchen garden or a little backyard garden. The farmers who are supportive of the PPPC planting the same amount of rice would have received millions of dollars in the same area and further down to wash clothes and so on within the Maikudi Branch Road area. And to our surprise, now they're saying to our farmers that they cannot come to verify and prove that they would have planted this amount of rice when they would have done the sharing for the PPP and supported farmers without verification. So it is outright discrimination, and it seems to be heading in another direction now, whereby black people and once you support the coalition are targeted, even in areas where the public is supposed to enjoy the benefits of taxpayers' dollars. And so, Mark, the farmers won't have it anymore.
They wouldn't have it. We spoke with some of the farmers earlier on this show. We are looking live right now. Well, a photograph of them. They were protesting, as one of them claimed that it wasn't really a protest. It was a peaceful get-together with a nice big tire on the road and some placards. I love this peaceful get-together. They did indicate that you promised to visit them.
Well, I'm actually in my colony because I was scheduled to be here at 1 within the Burma community, but I am now heading to Port because I'm going to meet with the farmers at Port first and then come back to meet with farmers at Burma. So I'm just a few minutes away from Burma, from Port rather. So I'm on the ground.
You are on the ground. But tie your boots lace. Glad that you are on the ground. Mr. MP, thank you so much. When you're there, take some photographs. Let us see some action. The people are waiting for you there, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you. Good. All right, the Honorable MP, he's on the ground. He's on the ground. He's heading there. We got boots on the ground. This is a struggle on the ground, not social media, not sweet boy and sweet girl style, but on the ground. Go on the ground. That's where the fight is. Put your boots on. I've noticed here, Gary Greenwich. Gary Greenwich, good morning. Or is it, oh, it's still morning. Good morning to you, sir. Let me see. Something caught my attention. Gary Greenwich is saying here, them saying give the youths a chance, but like we gotta get to employ back them old boy because the youth like them chicken out. I ain't saying nothing. You trying to set me up, Gordon. Gary. Early in the morning, you trying to set me up. Me falling for that. Because if I fall for it, I may very well agree with you. But I don't want to fall for it. Because I don't want people to think that I agree with you. Even though deep down within, you're speaking the truth. But don't forget, they get some of them youth setting they're setting the agenda. I don't know what agenda, where, when, how, but I wish all of them the best, man. More boots on the ground. If there's anything else that pops up during the course of the day, and once I can bring you a live broadcast, we will do so. Right here on 107.1 FM. The only radio station with a difference. The only radio station that tells the truth. The whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The only radio station that is not afraid to bring these live broadcasts for you in Guyana and those who are viewing us via the internet to see around the world. What else can I say? Just go on the our YouTube channel, click on the like. Have your friends click on the like so you can get your notifications. Click on the like, please. If you haven't done so, go to our YouTube channel right now. Click on the like and you'll get your notifications whenever we're on live, right? I've got to go. But thank you all so much for tuning in. God bless you, and God bless our beautiful country. Until later. Bye-bye.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockcrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockcrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockcrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now I come home. The naga jackass yard for fetchy load. Hawkley Cheyenne, bag over shoulder, running by his side. A Rexy and Rover, from the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka, Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka, Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell you tell some picnic a there with fright. Oh Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma Burra Nancy even Watamuma. Oh Ligan, Moongeza, Massa Kurma Burra Nancy even Watamuma.